When I had parked my freshly stolen car just outside the Broken Bend town limits a little less than an hour ago, I'd expected that things would get very violent very quickly. What I hadn't expected was that the party would have started without me. Sure, I don't exactly have an invitation. This isn't the kind of shindig that you RSVP for. Even if I had received such a thing, I wouldn't have responded. I'm more the type of person that likes to show up unannounced, be unpredictable, all that jazz. So they wouldn't have known not to kick things off without my glorious presence. Can't really blame the townsfolk for that one. Still, fuck them, right? I may not have a legitimate reason to be pissed at them, but the legitimate reasons are for normal people, and I'm as far from normal as you're going to find. At least I hadn't come unprepared. I always remember to pack my party clothes these days. Well, that might mean a stuffy tuxedo or a revealing dress with just the right amount of cleavage showing for most people. For me, that means that I can call out my Wendigo form anytime that I choose to. Clothing, transformation, tomato. Originally, I decided that I was going to be cautious, really dig in and find out all the information that I could about both Broken Bend and the nasty creature that called it home. It was a good decision, really. The smart decision. Some real hunter knowing its prey shit, you know? I tried to do just that. I really did. But oh my god, it was so fucking boring. I used to have that kind of patience when it was me and the wolf, the kind that a stalker has as it waits for the right moment, when I wasn't physically ill from not killing, anyway. The whole Wendigo thing, though, this is a different kind of trip. I'm more impulsive, more living in the here and now, more free. I have no idea why I used to be such a serious Sam, and being a reckless Rick is way more fun. And speaking of fun, the Broken Bend residents are out in full force, both running through the streets and trampling through the surrounding woods. While my senses aren't as strong as they were when I was all wolf mode, my sense of smell is still strong enough to pick up the same scent that I had during my first visit to the town. It smells of dark oceans and ancient spaces. That scent had once frightened me. Now it just makes me eager. Eager to kill, eager to taste warm blood running down my nightmare's throat. Eager to show this unearthly motherfucker that not only am I back, but also I'm better than fucking ever. The people seem to be ignoring me, at least for the moment. Luckily for me, I have a rather eager playmate to keep me company. I emerged from the woods merely moments ago to find myself staring at whatever this thing is. In a way, it reminds me of a werewolf, but there's no fur and the tight skin is a dull brown. It's standing on two legs, and its long arms reach down to the ground where it leans on its knuckles like a gorilla. It opens its mouth to hiss. As it does so, I see rows of sharp, fang-like teeth inside. Neat. Teeth are cool and all, but the thing that strikes me the most is that half its body is charred and melted like it decided to take a partial dip in a volcano. The creature doesn't seem to care one bit about its glaring wounds. Instead, it starts towards me with murderous intent in its eyes. I open my long, bone-covered jaws, causing steam to rise out from them as my icy breath mixes with the much warmer air. Finally, something that knows how to play the game properly. Unfortunately, it isn't much of a fight. To its credit, it catches me off guard with how strong it is as it crashes into me, forcing me back a few steps. I quickly shake it off, however, and with a rather graceful twist of my body, I avoid its clutching hands. I bury my claws into its melted side. It howls in pain for just a moment before I pull hard and split its body in half. The creature falls silent, and I drop the remains onto the grass. There's a loud thump as it strikes the ground, that mixture of solid and wet that never fails to be pleasing to my ears. I look down at what's left of it. This isn't the being that greeted me during my first trip here. Apparently Broken Bend is home to its fair share of monsters. I grin. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a fucking blast. I catch sight of another group of people hurrying into the woods nearby. Like the others, they don't look at me as they hurry into the brush. I ran into a few small pockets of townspeople as I was making my way to town, and they had been quite eager to run straight into my waiting arms. Now they're not even glancing at the giant Wendigo within spitting distance. That's a bit of a blow to the old ego. I'm right here, folks. Your untimely demise, all wrapped up in this beautiful, sexy Wendigo package. Why, I'll have you know that many people have found me to be perfectly pleasant company. Then again, they're not attacking me. They've got other business to attend to. What business is more important than protecting their master, right? They could be running right towards it. I follow the people into the forest. It goes against my natural instincts to not start murdering them one at a time from behind, but I'm after big prey tonight. I can play with them later, use them to keep the afterglow going after I kill their boss. The fog is even thicker inside the tree line. It still has that weird, greasy feeling to it that I noticed during my first romp through town. I ignore it. I can take a nice, long, relaxing shower after I'm done creating a horrible, disgusting, widespread, violent shower of blood all over the place. Suddenly, a shape is coming towards me. The scent filling my nostrils rapidly grows stronger. Tingles of excitement run up and down my spine. This is it. The creature that humiliated me so soundly is coming right towards me. Finally. I've been waiting for this moment for so damn long. It emerges from the darkness. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. Instead of some hulking beast, it's tall and incredibly thin. Its head is round with two wide holes where its face should be. Wings spread out from its back as it races towards me, one gray arm extended out in front of it. I roar in challenge and lunge forward to meet it. We crash into each other, and to my surprise my momentum is instantly stopped. It leans into me, and despite the strength of my Wendigo form, I am pushed down to my knees. As its head draws closer, hundreds of black tentacles extend out from the holes in its head. They lash out and scrape against my face. The bone covering protects most of my skin, but flesh is torn away from the areas that they manage to reach. Turning my neck in a way that it likely isn't meant to turn, I manage to lock my mouth around a group of the tentacles and bite down. My jaws clack together as my teeth sever the wriggling appendages. I feel a momentary satisfaction as the creature lets out an oddly metallic shriek. That's right, you asshole. Daddy came to play. That satisfaction turns into disbelief as it clamps down hard on the sides of my head and lifts me completely off the ground. Without any effort, it launches me backwards. I collide with the nearest tree so hard that I break right through it, then through the one standing behind it. Third time's the charm, however, as the next tree manages to remain upright. I painfully slump to the ground and shake my head in an attempt to stop the ringing I'm hearing. Before I can get back to my feet, I feel the first of the hands latch onto me. I painfully turn to the side and see that one of the brainwashed, broken-bent citizens has wrapped their arms around my left leg. Another one does the same thing to my right arm. More and more people emerge from the fog. I'm temporarily weakened from the unexpected beating that I just took. As the people continue to pile on me, I can't summon the strength to force them off. I'm forced flat onto the turf as I'm quickly buried underneath the bodies. I only need a few moments to recover, to get the wind back in me. I might not have that time. They only have to keep me down for a handful of seconds, just long enough for their boss to glide on over. I try to move, but I can't. I can feel the creature getting closer. No way am I going to let it end like this. The bastard got the jump on me, sure, but I'm going to get these meat puppets off of me and... I don't have time to finish that thought. The weight on me begins to loosen. Not sure what's happening, but certainly not one to waste an opportunity. I place my clawed hands flat on the ground and push hard. People still clinging onto me tumble off to the sides. I move on all fours with my jaws open like a crocodile, my teeth tearing through my attackers like so many knives. The entrails of what had until recently been a man splatter onto the ground next to me. I whip my head in that direction while getting back to an upright position. A few yards away, its eyes locked onto me, is something resembling a bear. It's definitely not a natural wild animal. The scent is all wrong, mixing that of both a bear and a human. Its skin and fur seem to move and adjust, almost like its body is nothing more than a mirage. I've seen some truly weird shit in my life, including within the last 2 minutes, but this is one of the weirder shits. There's a noise from the trees above me. Pulling my attention away from the strangely shapeless beast, I turn my head upwards. It's difficult to see anything in the dark canopy, but I can just make out a figure in the branches. Like the creature in front of me, its body looks to be in a state of flux, but this one is in the form of an owl. I return my gaze to the false bear and flex my claws. It doesn't matter what these things are. If they're looking for a fight, I'm happy to oblige. A man in a black suit steps out of the shadows. His hands are behind his back, and if he's nervous about being so close to me, there's no trace of it on his face or in his demeanor. He calmly surveys the dead bodies lying on the ground in front of the bear. There's movement to my left, and I turn slightly to find a pair of deer charging towards me. They're both large bucks, their antlers cracked and broken from use. Their lips are pulled back from their teeth, and they have the same smell as the fog and the possessed town people. Looks like my old buddy has enlisted the forest critters as well as the town residents. Before I can do anything, the strange bear is already moving. It ignores me and smashes into the side of the nearest buck, sending it flying off its feet and into a tree, the sound of its bones snapping filling my ears. As it does so, the large owl swoops down from the branches and digs its talons into the neck of the second fucked up Bambi. With a hard twist, it tears the throat out of the deer. As both bucks fall still, the animals that aren't really animals turn their attention back towards me. There's a long pause before the bear lowers and raises its head in a nod. They move deeper into the woods and out of sight. Within moments, the cries of dying people echo out of the darkness. "You can leave these infected wretches to us," the man in the suit says calmly. "I would suggest that you concentrate on Call. It seems quite formidable." Call. So the bastard that chased me out of Broken Bend has a name. I have no idea who these people are, but their purpose seems to be aligned with my own for the moment. Maybe they've got some grudge against the thing pulling the strings as well. Whatever the case, no point in looking a gift horse in the mouth, right?
Agreed.
I rumble out of my cold and inhuman voice. "Excellent," the man says approvingly. "There's another associate of mine somewhere in these blasted woods. Him and his dog. Try not to kill him. He might be useful to you." With that, the man disappears into the forest after his two companions. I stare after him for a moment. This night just keeps getting more and more interesting. I return my attention to the matter at hand. The stench of the fog is still everywhere, but the sweet smell of blood has become more noticeable as well. I grin. This is everything that I hoped it would be and more. Nothing wrong with a few twists and turns to keep things interesting. I look around. When my body had been used to Paul Bunyan and a few trees, I'd expected the creature, this Call, to take the opportunity to try and finish me off. Instead, it's vanished. I take a deep breath. Maybe vanished is too strong of a word. It's still here somewhere. Somewhere close. I can't pinpoint exactly where, though. If the wolf was still with me, I could easily zero in on the scent, but the Wendigo's senses aren't as keen. Well, whatever. I don't mind doing things the hard way. Sometimes I even prefer it that way. Alright, enough with the standing around like a fucking slacker. Let's do this. I know from experience that these woods go on for quite a while. I could be running around for days looking for this floating jerk-off, especially with the fog making it difficult to get a fix on it. What I need is for some way to draw it out into a more open area. There's no doubt in my mind that I could kill the thing on a level playing field. I head back towards town. There's an idea squirming around inside my black brain, one that might just do the trick. Emerging from the trees, I hurry over to the police station and look through the large glass window. There doesn't seem to be anyone home. I'm too large in my current form to fit through the doors, and besides, I'm going to need my hands when I get inside. Luckily, I've been working on a little something for just this type of occasion. With a final glance around to make sure that I'm alone, I revert back to my human form. my fragile, squishy human form. That's not the trick, though. This is. Concentrating, I allow the change back into a Wendigo to begin to happen. After it reaches a certain point, though, I force it to stop. I remain the same size as I am when I'm human, but my bones are hardened and pushed tight against my grayish skin. A streak of wispy black hair runs down my back, and my teeth are elongated and sharp. A sharp bone extends a few inches from each of my knuckles. I'm neither human nor Wendigo, but something in between. It would be stupid to attempt to go up against Colin the strange in-between form, but it's certainly enough to slice and dice any humans that might get in my way. I push on the front door and find that it's unlocked. What a terrible example the Broken Bend police are setting for the rest of the town. I haven't been in many police stations before. That's very much by choice. While that's been great for the whole not being locked up in prison forever thing, it does make it more difficult for me to find what I'm looking for. Ah, there's the little bastard. A black and silver radio with wires running into the wall behind it. I had noticed a tower on top of the building with a large speaker attached to it during my first trip to the town. It's the kind of setup that smaller towns use to broadcast urgent weather information to residents. There's a little more to it than that, but at the end of the day it basically allows someone to shout things over a very long distance. I examine the radio for a few moments before I locate the power switch. I flip it up and plug in the microphone sitting on the table beside it. There's a screech of feedback. When it fades, I tap on the microphone and am pleased to hear the noise echo outside the building. "Hello, Broken Bend," I say, holding the microphone up close to my mouth. "We interrupt your regularly scheduled brainwashing to bring you this important announcement." I stop speaking for a moment as I listen to my voice echo off the structures outside. Maybe it's just me. My voice sounds kind of sexy in this form, like a Barry White mixed with a Hannibal Lecter. Well, there'll be enough time to contemplate my own incredibleness later. Back to business. This one goes out to that hideous monstrosity Call, I continue. I'm guessing that even if you don't speak English, your little cronies can pass along the message in a way that you'll understand. I'm a-calling you out, partner. This shithole mountain town ain't big enough for the both of us. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, "Self, there's no reason for me to come out of this nice comfy forest and into the open. You've got all the advantages in there, right?" You make a good argument, even if I'm technically the one making it for you. But see, here's the thing. If you don't come out of those woods and face me mano-a-mano, I'm going to march back in there. When I do, I'm not going to be coming for you. Instead, I'm going to go after every single living thing that's under those trees. I'm going to slaughter everything that so much as breathes. It won't be hard either. I'll admit that you yourself have got a few things going for you, but all those assholes you've got fawning at your feet, they're so easily breakable, like delicate little water balloons filled with blood and guts. Tell me, Mr. Call, sir, how happy will you be when there's no one left around to worship you? I pause for just a moment. Just you and me, right here in the streets of Broken Bend. You've got 10 minutes before I start slitting throats. I flip the radio off and drop the microphone onto the table. I think I've made my point. With my message sent, I stroll back out of the police station and into the street. All that I have to do now is wait for an answer. I'm sure that I'll be getting one. I'm just not sure what form it will come in. I wasn't making an idle threat. I'm more than prepared to tear apart each and every resident of Broken Bend if I have to. Anything that gets my hands around Call's throat is worth it. I allow my body to go full Wendigo. Now I'm ready for anything. Well, almost anything apparently. If I'm honest with myself, I didn't expect the sheer amount of people that are stepping out of the woods at the same time. These people are forming a straight line that stretches from one side to the other. It's so long that it continues on well past my line of sight. Fog is billowing out from behind them and spilling into the grass and road. Looking closer, I find that it's not just people either. There are a variety of animals, as well as monsters that I can't identify, standing with the humans. Call's doing the otherworldly entity version of flexing. Yeah, well, two can do that. I throw back my head and roar in challenge. It's a hollow sound, one that fills the air with its unnatural tone. As I do so, I see my freezing breath in the air. The white plumes pour out of my mouth and nostrils like smoke billowing out of a dragon. To my surprise, my challenge is immediately accepted. Call emerges from behind its followers. They part to make way for it, the fog pouring out over it. It spreads its wings wide as it emits an answering call. I thought my roar sounded evil, but I have nothing on this particular sound. I can barely even describe it. The closest I can come to doing so is to say it's like pieces of metal scraping together in a wide tunnel, but that's nowhere near accurate. Call calls out once more before going airborne and heading towards me at surprisingly fast speed. I have just enough time to move out of the way, but I instead plant my feet and hold out my hands, their sharp claws pointed straight ahead. It rams into me so hard that my jaws clack together. Although I'm pushed back several yards, I remain on my feet as I grip my claws into its shoulders. As we slide to a stop together, I lash out with my head and bite down on the right side of its own. I feel my teeth begin to penetrate its leathery flesh just for a moment before it throws me off of it. I slide to a stop on all fours and immediately run back towards it, determined not to give it any time to catch its breath. It tries to grab me as I push forward. I duck my head lower and plunge the tips of my sharp antlers into its thin chest. It's so thin that I don't get much of it. The parts of the antlers that do manage to make contact sink in deep, however, and I lift Call off of its feet and smash it into a nearby telephone pole. The pole cracks and buckles. I twist my antlers free of the creature's body and dart off to one side, allowing the pole to fall directly on top of it. Call lies still for a moment, just long enough for me to think that the fight may be over. After a few seconds, it reaches up and easily pushes the pole off with one hand. It's not really a hand, more like appendages extending from the arm, but semantics are for dicks. It rises back to an upright position and looks to continue the fight. As it comes towards me, I notice that there's a series of cracks along its head. It strangely resembles damaged porcelain. I feel my excitement growing. For a minute there, I was starting to wonder what it was going to take to hurt this fucking thing. Now, though, it's clear that I've done some real damage. I wonder if Call feels pain. I really fucking hope it feels pain. It stops short before it reaches me and ducks down slightly. I'm caught off guard by the move. In the brief moment that it takes me to shake off my surprise, Call fully extends its wings and propels itself forward faster than I've ever seen anything move. It collides with me, and there's an audible crack as the wind rushes out of my lungs. The sheer force of the contact sends me hurtling through the air until my back smashes into a nearby car. The metal bends inward to the point that the front and rear sections wrap around me. Glass rains down over my body, cutting into the exposed areas of skin. My body slumps to the ground as the car is suddenly gone from behind me. I open my eyes just in time to see Call lift the vehicle's remains over its head and bring it back down on top of me. Everything goes blurry, and I taste my own blood in my mouth. Bone protection around my face and jaws breaks. The car is lifted off of me, and once again it comes down to batter me. The creature does this over and over until the car itself can't take anymore and comes completely apart. I'm only vaguely aware that the beating has stopped. Everything seems so muted, dim and colorless while almost devoid of sound. I shake my head in an attempt to clear it. If I stay down, I'm dead. Struggling, I force myself to fight past the numbness and roll over onto all fours. As I do so, the world comes rushing back in and my senses return. Pain more intense than I've ever felt explodes throughout my body. Bones have been broken, muscles have been torn, and my right arm is limp. Blood is flowing freely out of me. No, God damn it, no. Call reaches down and picks me up on my throat. Almost casually, it tosses me into the brick wall of the nearby police station. I strike it at the corner with my back, and I feel discs in my spine snap out of alignment. It's taking me apart piece by piece. Instead of following me, however, Call stands in the middle of the road and simply watches for a long moment. The cracks across its body have grown longer and more pronounced. Call turns its head upward and visibly shudders. The cracks widen for a split second before its body falls to the ground in thousands of pieces. No, not its body. Even through the blood dripping in front of my eyes, I can see that there's still something standing there in the street. What I had thought was its body had only been a kind of covering or shell. I'm now seeing it in its true form. While it still retains its human-like shape, that's just about the only thing that still looks the same. Both the head and the body appear to be constructed of jet black, barbed-covered tentacles wrapped tightly around themselves. Instead of wings, it has 4 larger tentacles extending from each side of its back. The arms end at 4 thin versions of the feelers instead of fingers, and the legs do the same. More of the tentacles run down from its back and onto the ground, creating an almost cape effect. It's a constantly writhing nightmare that should not be in this world. Every moment that I stare at it, my mind slips a little more towards insanity. Suddenly it's on me. I didn't even see it move. 1 second it was standing in front of me, and the next it's picked me up and wrapped its arms around me. Countless tentacles pierce deep into my body. I can feel them moving inside of me as they rip into my organs. A sound escapes me, a pathetic whine of suffering. It's over. Once again, this thing has beaten me. I didn't even make it difficult for it. At this moment, I welcome death. Anything to stop the pain and the shame. The world falls silent, and the pain is gone. Call's weight is no longer on me. I'm standing on my own 2 feet. I open my eyes and find that everything around me is black. Even though I can't see anything, I know that I'm human once again. I'm also no longer in Broken Bend. I'm somewhere very different, somewhere that I've been before. This is where I confronted the Wendigo spirit, where I'd killed it and taken its power for myself. I'm in the cold, dark place. 2 pinpricks of red light appear directly in front of me. You're still here, I say to the wolf, hearing the surprise in my own voice. The wolf is silent. I need your help, I continue as an idea comes to me. If you're here, you know what's happening out there. We can still salvage this together. It doesn't make a sound, but I can feel a shift in the air. Look, I said some things, I admit. Things that I shouldn't have said, and things that I didn't really mean. It's just that you and I were always together. We were one. Then, after what this bastard did to us the last time we were here, we weren't anymore. That threw me off. If I'm being honest, it scared me. No response. Is that what you wanted to hear? I demand, beginning to feel irritated. I was scared. Me. Not you. Me. I'm starting to get really angry now. What else does this bastard want from me? Okay, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we work together now. That thing out there is going to kill me or possess me or whatever the hell it does. And when that happens, you're done too. We share this body. What happens to me, happens to you. The red lights dim slightly, and I know that the wolf is considering my words. Just think about it, I continue pressing. We don't just go back to how it was. We combine what we have, the wolf and the Wendigo together. There's no way this asshole can stop us. Nothing could. What do you say? There's a brief pause before I feel the wolf's claws on my shoulders. It's embracing me. I feel a swelling of emotion. I hadn't known that I needed this as much as I obviously do. So, we're good then? I ask, sure that I already know the answer. We'll do this together? Pain suddenly shoots through my shoulders. It takes me a moment to realize what's happening. The wolf is pressing its claws in my body, the sharp points driving through the skin, muscle, and bone. I open my mouth to scream. Nothing comes out. Instead, the infinite, cold, dark place is filled with a booming voice that sounds as if it's coming straight from the maw of hell as it deafens me.
No, we.
I feel an odd pulling sensation on my left shoulder. With a noise like a zipper being rapidly pulled, my arm is torn free from the socket. I still can't scream, and the agony I'm feeling demands that I do so. My entire side grows hot as blood pours out of my gaping wound.
Only me.
Fangs dig into my neck. I can feel the hot breath on me as they sink in, the warmth of the wolf's tongue as it tastes my skin. I'm being systematically dissected. There's nothing that I can do about it. The booming voice doesn't come again, but it doesn't need to. I don't know if it's because the wolf is connected to me again in this macabre embrace, or maybe if we were never disconnected in the first place. Whatever the case, I know what it's thinking. I know what I've done to deserve this. I've committed the one sin that the wolf can never forgive. I've gone against the natural order of things. Not only did I berate and reject the wolf at my lowest point, I also violated the body it shares with me by inviting the Wendigo in. I brought another into our sacred bond without the permission of the pack leader. I had always thought that I was the one with the power. I was wrong. The wolf is the alpha. It always has been. I was just some pissant killer that had tried to shift blame for my own flaws and insecurities instead of actually facing up to them. The wolf's grip tightens. I can feel myself slipping away further into the cold, dark place. Within moments, I'll be gone. Part of me knows that I deserve this. I brought this on myself, and really, it's a mercy that the wolf is granting me a death this quick. I smile tightly. Besides, it's not like my death is meaningless. This isn't the end. It is for me, but not for the wolf. It will claim sole possession of the body that we shared since the beginning, and all the power that comes along with it. Its new companion will be the Wendigo. Together, they will become something else, something different, the greatest predator that the world has ever seen, the true alpha. My grin broadens as the last of me fades away into the dark. It will be glorious.